There are moments in life when everything feels still, almost like time itself is holding its breath. You might not see it yet, but deep down you can sense that something is shifting. It's quiet, it's invisible, and yet it's powerful. That's often how God works. He doesn't always announce what he's about to do with thunder or lightning. Sometimes he begins with a whisper, calling you to pause, to breathe, and to listen. Maybe you've been running, chasing answers, fixing problems, trying to make sense of the chaos around you. But right now God is asking you to stop. Not because he's forgotten you, but because he's preparing you. There's a sacred moment right before every transformation, a moment where the old fades away and something new begins to take shape. That's where you are. This is the turning point. You see, divine change rarely looks dramatic at first. It often starts within the heart, quietly rearranging the way you think, the way you see yourself, and the way you trust. The invisible current of God's plan is already moving beneath the surface of your life, aligning circumstances, softening hearts, and preparing breakthroughs you can't yet imagine. You may feel nothing's happening, but in truth everything is. Think about it like the ocean before sunrise. The waves move before the light appears. The tide is shifting long before you can see the horizon glow. God works the same way. He moves first in silence. And when the moment is right, the dawn comes and everything changes. If you've been praying, waiting, or even doubting, this is not the time to give up. God is calling you to tune your heart to his frequency. Sometimes the reason you can't hear his voice is because the world around you is too loud. But when you choose stillness, when you quiet your fear long enough to listen, you begin to notice his presence in places you never expected. In the pause between breaths, in a simple act of kindness, in a door that suddenly opens. The truth is, transformation doesn't always start when your problems disappear. It starts when your perspective does. God is not promising an easy path, but he is promising his presence. He's saying, I'm here even when it's dark. I'm moving, even when you can't see me. Trust me, and you will find peace that the world cannot take away. Maybe right now life feels uncertain. Maybe you've lost something or someone, and the pain makes you wonder if things will ever be the same. But sometimes the breaking is the blessing. Sometimes God allows the shaking not to destroy you, but to reveal what's unshakable within you. So take this moment, right here, right now. Let go of the noise, the fear, the constant need to control. Open your heart to the quiet voice that says, I am doing something new. You might not understand the process, but you are being positioned for purpose. The waiting isn't wasted. It's sacred. When you listen deeply and trust completely, something shifts inside you. Peace replaces panic. Faith replaces fear. And even if your situation hasn't changed yet, you have. You become stronger, calmer, more grounded in the truth that God's hand is on your life. This is your sacred turning point, the invisible moment where heaven begins to move in your favor. Don't rush it. Don't fear it. Just receive it. Because when God says it's time, everything changes, first within you, and then all around you. Have you ever had a night when you couldn't sleep, not because of noise, but because your heart wouldn't quiet down? You keep turning over the same thoughts, the same worries, the same unanswered questions. You pray, but the words don't seem to come out right. Maybe you even stop praying altogether, because you feel like God must be too far away to hear. But I want you to know this. He hears you. Every sigh, every tear, every word you couldn't say out loud. God has already heard it all. There's nothing about your pain that surprises him. He knows the battles you're fighting behind closed doors, the smile you wear in public while you're breaking inside. He sees the nights you stay awake, thinking about how to keep going, and the mornings you get up anyway, even when it hurts. You may think no one notices your quiet endurance, but heaven does. God sees every hidden ache and counts every tear that falls. Sometimes it feels like our prayers are lost in the wind. We wonder, does God really care about what I'm going through? The truth is, He doesn't just care. He's already moving in ways you can't yet see. The answers might not arrive in the way you expect, but they are coming. The same God who holds the stars in place is arranging the pieces of your life with just as much care and precision. Think about this. Maybe the reason something or someone left your life isn't because you failed, but because God is clearing space for peace to enter. We often hold on to things that weigh us down, relationships that drain us, habits that keep us stuck, or fears that whisper lies into our mind. But God, in His wisdom, sometimes removes what's not meant to stay. It may hurt at first, but it's His way of lifting the burden you couldn't set down yourself. Have you ever looked back on a season of pain and realized it was actually preparing you for something better? That's how God works. He allows certain doors to close not to punish you, but to protect you. You might be losing what you wanted, but you are never losing what you need. He's not taking something away. He's making room for the next blessing. Right now, even in the silence, a divine order is being set in motion. God is aligning situations, shifting people, and positioning you for peace. The conversations that didn't happen, the opportunities that didn't unfold, they weren't accidents. They were protection. Some people had to leave because their season in your story is over. Some paths had to end so your heart could finally rest. You might not feel it yet, but relief is coming. God is lifting weights off your shoulders one by one. He's replacing anxiety with assurance, exhaustion with renewal, emptiness with quiet joy. The very things that once overwhelmed you will soon become reminders of how far you've come and how faithfully He's carried you. So if you're in that place right now, tired, confused, maybe even angry, don't mistake God's silence for absence. He's working in the background, arranging your next chapter with care. The pain you feel is not the end of your story. It's the transition before peace. I've learned something over the years. Sometimes God's greatest answers aren't loud or dramatic. They come as calm. One morning, you'll wake up and realize your heart feels lighter. The heaviness will be gone. The things that used to break you won't have power over you anymore. That's when you'll know He's been working all along. And when that moment comes, don't forget to thank Him. Not just for the blessings you see, but for the burdens He quietly removed. Because that's the beauty of God's love. He understands even the struggles you never spoke of, and He's already turning them into something beautiful. There comes a point in every life when the weight begins to lift, when what once felt broken finally starts to make sense. You may not realize it yet, but you're stepping into a season of restoration, a time when God begins to repair what was lost, rebuild what was forgotten, and reward the faith that refused to give up. You see, nothing you've been through has been wasted. Every tear, every late night, every quiet prayer that no one else heard, God did. And He's been keeping track, not to remind you of your pain, but to bring purpose out of it. When you stayed faithful even when things didn't change, when you kept showing up even when no one noticed, heaven noticed, this is the time when God begins to honor that perseverance. Maybe you've wondered why things took so long, why your healing hasn't come, why the opportunity never showed up, why your prayers seemed unanswered. But sometimes God delays not to deny, but to develop. He's been shaping you in the waiting, refining your strength, deepening your faith, teaching you how to trust Him beyond what you can see. Because when restoration comes, it's not meant to return you to what you had. It's meant to prepare you for something greater. Look closely at your life right now. The small details you once overlooked may start to reveal a pattern. A conversation that seemed random, a door that closed, a delay that frustrated you, all of it was orchestrated. God's plan is never accidental. It's intentional. He works in details, weaving moments together like threads in a masterpiece. Sometimes what feels like chaos is actually divine coordination, and then one day things begin to align. The right people show up. The opportunities that felt out of reach suddenly open. You'll realize that the same God who allowed the storm also prepared the shelter. That job you didn't get, it protected your peace. That relationship that ended, it made space for real love. That season of silence, it built the faith you're living on now. Restoration isn't always loud. It doesn't always come as a miracle that everyone can see. Sometimes it shows up quietly, like peace settling in your heart, like joy returning to your mornings, like strength rising again where there used to be fear. God is in that too. He doesn't just restore things around you. He restores you. Maybe you feel tired of waiting, or you've started to believe your story is stuck. But God wants you to know nothing is too damaged, too delayed, or too far gone for Him to renew. He specializes in making old things new. The same hands that shaped creation are shaping your comeback right now. So lift your eyes. Don't look at what's missing. Look at what's becoming. The pieces that didn't fit before are falling into place. The doors that once stayed closed will open with ease. And the blessings that are coming won't just fill your life. They'll overflow into the lives of others around you. This is your season of divine restoration. God is not only restoring what was broken. He's rebuilding it stronger. He's bringing beauty from the ashes, joy from sorrow, and purpose from pain. If you've stayed faithful through the storm, prepare your heart, because peace, abundance, and joy are on their way. And when it happens, you'll look back and realize every delay, every detour, every heartbreak, it all had a reason. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. God was never late. He was right on time. And now He's saying to you, it's time to restore. Every once in a while there comes a shift, a quiet but undeniable turning of seasons. You can't always see it, but you can feel it. It's as if the air itself changes, carrying a sense of anticipation. That's where you are right now. You've walked through the long nights of waiting, through the dry seasons of silence, and now, without even realizing it, you're stepping into a new era, a divine chapter where faith finally bears fruit. This is not just another phase of your life. It's a sacred transition. The seeds you've planted in tears are about to grow. The prayers you whispered in the dark are beginning to unfold in the light. God is declaring that the season of harvest has begun. Not a harvest of things, but of faith, of patience, of all those quiet choices you made to trust Him, even when nothing made sense. Do you remember the moments when you almost gave up but didn't? The times you stayed kind when others were cruel? The times you chose faith over fear, forgiveness over anger, peace over control? Those moments were not wasted. Heaven saw every act of faithfulness, and now they're coming back to you multiplied. This is the time when the faithful will be recognized, not for titles or possessions, but for endurance, for their unshakable belief that God was still good, even when life wasn't. You will be known as someone who has seen the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. You are walking proof that patience and faith always produce fruit. And here's what's beautiful. Everything that's happening around you is divinely timed. You didn't miss your moment. You were being prepared for it. The delays, the detours, the disappointments, they weren't accidents. They were appointments. God was guiding you through every twist, making sure you arrived exactly where you needed to be. Exactly when you needed to be there. It's like the pieces of a puzzle finally snapping into place. Suddenly what once felt random begins to make sense. That unexpected phone call, that closed door, that chance encounter, it's all connected. God is a master planner, and He's been aligning your path with precision. The new opportunities that are coming your way aren't coincidences. They're confirmations. But here's something you might overlook. Not every miracle will look dramatic. In fact, many of them will be quiet. God's new era often begins not with thunder, but with stillness, with small signs that whisper, "I'm here and I'm working." It might be a peace you can't explain, a burden suddenly lifted, or a moment when everything just feels right. Those are what I call silent miracles, God's gentle way of saying, the new has begun, so look around. Pay attention to the subtle shifts in your life, the conversations that open your heart, the opportunities that seem to appear out of nowhere, the strength that rises in you when you least expect it. These are not random. These are signals from heaven that your new chapter is unfolding, and as you walk into this new era, remember this truth. God hasn't just changed your circumstances. He's been changing you. The person stepping into this season is not the same one who endured the last. You're wiser now, softer but stronger, more dependent on grace and less on control. You've learned that the waiting was never wasted. It was shaping your character for what's coming. This is the beginning of your divine harvest. You are entering a time where faith turns into sight, where the unseen hand of God becomes visible in everyday life. Don't rush it. Don't fear it. Just walk in it, with gratitude, with trust, and with open eyes to notice every quiet miracle along the way. Because when you look back, you'll realize this wasn't the start of something random. It was the moment God fulfilled what He had promised all along. The beginning of a new era, not just for your life, but for your soul. There comes a moment in every believer's life when God doesn't just change what's around us, He changes what's inside us. This is the season of inner transformation, the moment when old wounds begin to heal, when what once felt lifeless starts to breathe again. God is restoring things that seemed forever lost. The hope that faded years ago, the dream you quietly buried, the relationship that drifted away, even the health you thought could never return. But here's the truth we often forget. Real peace doesn't come when life finally gets easy. It comes when we realize that even in the middle of the storm, God is right there with us. You see, anyone can be calm when the waters are still, but faith, real deep unshakable faith, is what lets you stand strong when the winds howl and the waves rise. Peace isn't the absence of trouble. It's the presence of God within the trouble. Maybe right now you're walking through uncertainty, a health battle, a broken relationship, a dream that keeps slipping away. It's okay. God is not finished. He's rebuilding your strength one quiet step at a time. You might not see it yet, but He's rearranging pieces of your story so that what was meant to break you will become the foundation of your new beginning. And here's something powerful to remember. God doesn't just want you to survive. He wants you to live with purpose. You were never meant to drift through life, waking up just to make it through another day. You were created for meaning, for calling, for something that echoes in eternity. This transformation is not about becoming someone else. It's about rediscovering who you were always meant to be. When your faith is reignited, when your heart turns back toward the light, you begin to see life differently. The same problems may remain, but your spirit is renewed. The same storms may rage, but your foundation stands unshaken. God gives you new strength, quiet, steady, divine. And from that strength flows a peace that no one can take away. So if you felt tired, if you felt like you've lost your way, remember this. Your story isn't ending. It's being rewritten. The author of your life is still holding the pen. Let him restore you from the inside out, and you'll find that even the broken pieces can shine again. This time, with a light only heaven could give, there comes a time when every tear, every unseen act of kindness, every quiet prayer finally begins to make sense. This is the season of harvest, the moment when all the seeds of faith you've sown through years of struggle begin to bloom. God never forgets the nights you cried in silence, the choices you made when no one was watching, the moments you stayed kind even when life was cruel. Every sacrifice, every step of obedience, he saw it all, and now the time of reward has come. Not as loud applause or worldly success, but as a deep, unmistakable peace, a joy that doesn't depend on circumstances, a strength that stays even when the world shakes. This is your harvest, the result of faith that refused to quit. God is not unjust. He will never overlook what you've done in love and faithfulness. You see, the world might have doubted you. Some people may have dismissed your journey, thinking your prayers were wasted, your patience pointless. But soon they will see the fingerprints of God all over your life. Not because you need to prove anything, but because God delights in showing his glory through those who stayed faithful in the dark. Maybe you've wondered, when will my breakthrough come? The truth is, it's already unfolding. Slowly, quietly, like dawn breaking through the night. God's timing isn't rushed, but it's always right. When the harvest comes, it will be more than you imagined. Blessings that overflow, doors that open effortlessly, relationships restored, joy that runs deep, not fleeting like before. But perhaps the most beautiful part of this harvest is what it does in you. The pain that once broke you now becomes the very thing that helps you lift others up. The wounds of your past transform into wisdom, compassion, and strength. What once felt like loss now becomes a gift, a story that can bring healing to someone else walking through the same valley you once knew so well. So, if you're listening to this and wondering whether your faith still matters, it does. God has been watching even in your quietest moments. The season of reaping has begun. Don't give up now. Keep your heart open, your faith steady, and your eyes lifted. Because soon you'll look back and realize every step, every tear, every prayer led you here to this moment of divine reward. The season of harvest has come. There's a kind of miracle that doesn't always come with flashing lights or loud celebration. It happens quietly, in living rooms, around dinner tables, or in long overdue phone calls that begin with, "I've missed you." This is the miracle of restoration. When God steps into the spaces between hearts that have grown distant, he begins to soften what once felt hardened. He brings understanding where there was once tension, peace where there was once pain. Maybe your family hasn't been whole for a long time. Maybe words were said that cut too deep, or silence built a wall so thick it seemed impossible to break. But God specializes in rebuilding what's been broken. He knows how to restore not just relationships, but the tenderness of love itself. The kind of love that listens before speaking, forgives before being asked, and sees the good even in the flaws. Sometimes, healing begins with something small, a prayer whispered at night, a message you almost didn't send, or a simple decision to let go of being right in order to choose peace. That's where God works best, in the humility of the human heart. When you surrender your pride and invite Him in, He can do what no argument or effort ever could. He brings harmony back to your home, calm to your conversations, and laughter back to your table. And as He heals, He also protects. There are forces, jealousy, gossip, bitterness, that try to creep into families and poison love. But when God is at the center, His peace becomes a shield. His presence silences the lies, covers the wounds, and reminds everyone that love is stronger than any misunderstanding. Peace doesn't mean every situation is perfect. It means that even in the imperfections there's trust. Even in uncertainty there's calm. It's that quiet confidence that says, God's got this. And when that peace settles into your heart, it spreads. Your home begins to feel lighter. Conversations become softer. Smiles come easier. Maybe this message finds you at a time when you're ready to see that change. Maybe you've been praying for years for your family to come together again. This is your sign that God hasn't forgotten. He's already working behind the scenes, softening hearts, opening doors, and arranging moments of grace you couldn't plan even if you tried. So let go of the heaviness. Release the need to fix everything on your own. Choose to trust that restoration is possible, because with God it always is. The peace you've longed for isn't far away. It's already on its way home. There comes a moment when the heaviness begins to lift, not all at once, but gently, like the morning mist fading under the warmth of the sun. That's what happens when God breathes peace into your spirit. The burdens that once weighed you down start to lose their grip, and what remains is a deep, steady joy, not a passing happiness, but a peace that lives inside you. It's the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances, because it comes from knowing that no matter what, God is in control. Maybe you've been running for so long, trying to make sense of things, trying to fix what's broken or find what's missing. But then something shifts. You realize that peace doesn't mean the storm has ended. It means you've found calm in the middle of it. You begin to feel lighter. The smile returns to your face, not because everything is perfect, but because you've learned to trust the one who holds everything together. And in that stillness, something new awakens inside you, purpose. You start to see that your story, with all its struggles and scars, was never meant to end in despair. It was shaping you, refining you, preparing you for something greater. You're not just meant to survive. You're meant to shine, to carry the light of hope into places where others have lost theirs. God doesn't just restore your joy for your sake. He does it so you can become a source of encouragement for someone else. The comfort you've received is meant to flow through you. Maybe it's through a kind word, a listening ear, or simply by living in such a way that others see peace in you and begin to wonder, where does that come from? And that's your moment to point them toward the one who gave it to you. Right now, God is already preparing the path ahead, opportunities you didn't expect, doors you didn't even know existed, answers to prayers you thought were long forgotten. He's aligning people, moments, and possibilities in ways that go far beyond human understanding. All He asks is that you keep walking in faith, one step at a time. So breathe, smile, let joy take root again. You don't need to see the full picture. You only need to trust the painter. God is not done with you. In fact, He's just beginning something new. This is your season of peace, your season of joy, your season of divine purpose. Step into it fully, because this time you're not walking alone. Every journey of faith leads to this moment, the realization that nothing you've gone through has been wasted. Every trial, every delay, every tear had a purpose. And now, as the pieces start to fall into place, you begin to see the bigger picture. God has been writing a story of renewal all along. What once seemed like chaos was actually preparation. What felt like loss was the planting of something that's now beginning to bloom. There comes a time when God whispers to your heart, "It's time to let go." Let go of the regrets that keep you tied to the past. Let go of the fear that stops you from moving forward. Because peace can't live where pain still rules. And when you finally release what's behind you, your hands are free to receive what's ahead, something far greater, deeper, and more beautiful than you imagined. Maybe you've carried burdens for years, praying for understanding, wondering when the struggle would make sense. But this is that moment. The fog is lifting, and the light is breaking through. You begin to understand why certain doors closed, why certain people left, and why some dreams had to wait. God wasn't punishing you. He was protecting you. Every no was leading you toward His divine yes. Now He's calling you to live, not just to survive, but to truly live. To wake up each day with purpose, to breathe deeply and know that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Because real peace isn't found in control, it's found in surrender. When you place your story back in God's hands, you stop striving and start trusting. You stop existing and start living. And this is the promise, by the divine assurance spoken over you. You will no longer merely exist. You will live fully, boldly, and joyfully in me. That's what renewal feels like. It's the breath after the storm, the sunrise after the long night. It's not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter written by grace. God is not just restoring what was lost, He's transforming it, making it better, richer, and more alive than before. So take heart, step forward with faith. The past has been redeemed, the present is sacred, and the future is already blessed. Everything has been made new, and this time it's not just your life that's changing, it's you.